I'm Carl Hood with Analog Way, and welcome to my office hours. The Aquilon's background layers can use both still and live sources, and the awesome thing about those background layers is that they actually have their own processing. So they don't pull from the VPU, they don't pull from aux resources, they don't pull from the multi-viewer resources, they are distinct, they're on an island. So the fact that you can do live backgrounds is almost a bit of a cheat code. It kind of gives you a live background for free without really having to use any of the other resources that you know and love. Now, to do that, you're going to want to set up some background sets. So let's take a look at setting up background sets in WebRCS. So we're in WebRCS. I've got a screen set up here. This is a big screen. This is a giant LED wall. It's 7680 by 2160, so it's basically 4K and 4K side by side. And I've got a few things here that I'm going to do for backgrounds. I've got a still background that I want to set up, and I also have a live background that I want to set up. So let's take a look at doing both of those. First, I'm going to go to Pre-config, and I'm going to go to the Backgrounds subtab here. Now, every screen can have 8 unique background sets. So what we're seeing here is that for my main LED, which is this big 4K sort of, 8K by 2K situation, for this big LED wall, it can have 8 of its own unique background sets. And you'll notice I have another screen here, screen 5, which is just a single 4K feed, and that can also have 8 unique background sets. In fact, every single screen in the Aquilon can have 8 unique background sets. Now, back to the LED wall, if I want to set up a live background set, all I have to do is go to my input sources, which these are the default things that are shown here, and you can see inputs 5 and 6, those are both coming from my Picture-All media server, and you can kind of tell from here, these are the left and right half of a big 7680 by 2160 background. To configure the background set, I literally just click and drag these sources into their respective positions, and that's it. that's background set 1 set up right there. I'll show you how to route this to the background layer in just a second, but while we're here, let's go ahead and set up my second background set. So I'm going to click on background set 2, start from my second kind of blank slate here, and I'm going to go to my stills. These are my images that I brought in. You can see I've got a few background images that are already kind of sliced and diced. So I've got this left and right half of my sort of, mountainous kind of Wild West looking background. And in fact, I've got another pair of images that I'm actually going to use for a third background set. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got my third background set here. There you go. So I've got 3 background sets now configured for my main LED. And if I want to use these, the final step in the equation is I need to go here to the live page. And under my source panel, I look for backgrounds, and I'll have my background sets here. Now, these, you'll notice, they are just 1 through 8. These will dynamically populate the appropriate background when you drag them onto a screen. So background set 1, this is background set 1 for the screen that I'm dragging it onto. So you'll notice background set 1 here, I drag it onto the background layer for screen 1, and there it is. There's my live background. Now, I can drag background set 2 onto preview, and there's one of my still backgrounds. And just to show what this looks like when you hit take, I'm going to go ahead and do a nice 1-second take. And you'll notice that these backgrounds, they mix. So you have a nice clean mix when you're going from one background to the other. And if I want to, again, I can maybe have a different look where I switch between this other background set here, my second pair of stills. And notice the amazing thing here is that I have not used any of my actual scaling layers. These are all still usable. I can still do stuff with these. I haven't touched them, even though I have a live background configured in program in this case. Now, the way these backgrounds are processed, like I mentioned earlier, they do want a feed per output in the screen. So in this case, what we've been dealing with is a 2 output LED screen, right? So it's a big LED canvas. It's got 2 outputs in it. Both of them are UHD. And so I do need 2 UHD feeds to basically make the background work, right? Now, most of the time, especially if you're dealing with UHD, that is the bandwidth that you've got coming out of your media servers anyway. So chances are a lot of your stuff is already cut up that way. But if you have something that is bigger than that, like if you're dealing with media servers that can send you DP 1.4 signals, well, we have a solution for that, and it's called output grouping, which we are going to cover in another video. So be sure to go watch that one if that's the kind of thing you're dealing with. Otherwise, for stills, you do have to kind of slice and dice it so that a portion of the background fits nicely within each output in the screen. But honestly, that's not too big of a deal if you get to know our screen frame cutter software, which is free and it is on the website, and there will be a link to it in the description of this video. So that's how you're going to set up backgrounds in the Aquilon. Like I said at the top, live backgrounds especially are kind of an awesome feature because they do not use any additional resources. So you don't have to use any scaling layers. You don't pull from auxes or anything like that. So definitely take advantage of them. Be sure to check out my other office hours videos for more tips and tricks. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.